Yo, what's good, YouTube? It's your boy Roche checking in again. So, I just meditated, received another download, man. And to be honest, I've been seeing a lot of and been getting from different women who hit me up, just talking about this whole alpha male phase that's going on YouTube. I've been seeing, and what's ironic is a lot of the information that's being disseminated on this alpha male wave is leading a lot of men down the wrong path, in my opinion. Let me put that out there too. In my humble opinion, it's leading a lot of men down the wrong path, right? It's leading down the alpha energy from a lot of the channels, not all of them. There's some like what's it called, Immortal Minds, and other channels like that teach you how to really tap into the real alpha energy. But there's a lot of channels out there that's basically telling y'all to be pimps and say fuck hoes and control women, and you need to control your woman and you need to manipulate her, and it's all about mind control, and that's how you be out. No, man. It's that's something you do when you're on the battlefield, right? You know what I'm saying? And you try to manipulate your energy, you try to control the mind and make them weak, maybe on the basketball court when you're in competition. And where a lot of men now have it confused is, it's like they're preaching and teaching you to be a pimp, basically. You know what I'm saying? And that's being a pimp. And just to break it down, because I come from that. Like, my dad was that, you know what I'm saying? I could have easily went down that path if I wanted to be like my father. He was that. He was a big ass drug dealer, was a pimp at one point. He was, you know what I'm saying? He was all of that, right? So if I wanted to do that, I know it. Like, all of my cousins on that side of the family are that. You know, they took that route, you know what I'm saying? On my dad's side of the family, all my cousins are wannabe pimps. Not even wannabe, they out in Vegas doing, you know, what they think they doing. You know what I'm saying? But when you really break it down, a pimp, when have you ever heard of a billionaire pimp? Or when have you ever heard of a multi-millionaire pimp? You just don't hear it that often, because one, when you're treating other people and manipulating other people and constantly degrading and trying to control their mind, nothing really good's gonna come from it. You may have a few good stints, you may live good, you may have a couple of nice whips, but the amount of shit that comes to you when you living right is 10 times what will come to you when you manipulating, degrading, and trying to control people through nefarious actions, right? So let's talk about that whole pimp thing, and one of the biggest pimps that all these guys be talking about. Because like I said, I've been, somebody told me to check this type of stuff out. But one of the biggest pimps, and I read this book from Iceberg Slim, because I'm trying to see if I got it over here. No, I don't have it right over here, but I had the book, I bought the book, and I've read it last year, or earlier this year I read it, finished reading it, probably like February, March. And one of the biggest pimps that everybody reveres and all these guys talks about, and the ism, and how to be a pimp, and how to be a player, and how to pop, you know, how to make women, and how to control women, and how to do that. Man, first of all, you don't need all of that. And but one of the biggest pimps, Iceberg Slim, this man literally, if you read his book, you will read and find out the reason why he became a pimp was because he was hurt by a woman, his mother, right? And that haunted him, and it made him lose all respect for any woman that he came across, because any woman that he came across represented his mother, and his mother turned out to be a Jezebel. That give you the backstory with Iceberg Slim. So what happened was, he was coming up, I can't remember what happened to his biological father, but I think he just wasn't in his life, you know, just kind of, yeah, I think his biological father just dipset. Yeah, he just dipset. He wasn't really, you know, ready to be a father, so he had a deadbeat biological father. But his mom ended up meeting this really good dude when Iceberg Slim was still in his adolescence. He was between the ages of like 5 and 12. She ended up meeting this really good dude who owned a few businesses. They lived out in the burbs or whatever, so it was a boring life for the mom. She wanted more quote-unquote excitement. So anyway, but they had a really good life. So she ended up marrying this really good guy, and he was a great guy to Iceberg Slim. Like, he took really good care of her. loved him, played with him, you know, played catch with him, took him outside, read with him, did things that a father should do, taught him about life, bought him really nice things, took great care of his mom. She had all the nice things she wanted, you know what I mean? So he was growing up seeing that, and he was like, okay, so this is what love is supposed to be like. This is how I should be treating women. And he really loved and endeared this man because he really treated him well. Like, this guy really treated him well, right? And what happened was, the mom had a salon that her husband had bought for her, right? And then one day, a pimp walked in, and because the mom was a Jezebel, she was a thought. She was a thought. She never really wanted to. She didn't really love the dude. She was just with him because his resources was nice. He had a lot of resources, so she was with him because of that. But she wanted more excitement. She wanted more quote unquote excitement. She wanted to be out in the streets, like we like to call. She wanted to be for the streets at the time, right? And so a pimp walked in the door and ended up turning her out. It was like, look, you riding with me. Slick talking pimp. Like, look, you know what I mean? And she was just turned on by the whole little get up and everything he had going on. He talked her out of leaving talked her into leaving Buddy. And like within a matter of weeks, she done left the dude after she'd have met this pimp because she wanted something more exciting. She was bored with that life. It wasn't, first of all, she probably had something in her internally that made her fearful of being in love or didn't like that. So she wanted more tumultuous, more toxic. Women kind of deal, especially the Jezebel spirit, they deal toxic as fun. They like the up and down. They like the, they like the bad boy dangerous shit. You know what I'm saying? They view that as fun, man. That's what just the Jezebel spirit does. But so when Iceberg Slim's mom left left his stepdad at the time, the dude that he really loved and looked to as a father, left him hanging out to dry, and this dude was really madly in love with Iceberg Slim's mom. So he left him out to dry, and within a year, the stepdad ended up dying from heartbreak. Like, he was so heartbroken, his spirit was so broken from the mom leaving him for the pimp, that he died within a year. All his businesses failed. He died within a year just because he couldn't continue on. So that had a major effect on Iceberg Slim because he was living a great life, was being raised by a good man, and was happy when he was back at that place. They had money, they had an abundance, they had a man who stood on morals and had a solid background and really cared for Iceberg Slim and his mom. But at the end of the day, she chose being a hoe, basically, over providing a good life for her son and being with a good man who loved her, who genuinely loved her and wanted to take care of her. See, and that's the problem with a lot of these women out here. I'm not saying all women are like this. I'd say there's a good 10 to 15% of women right now in America who are good, virtuous women who are deserving of a man such as Iceberg Slim's stepdad, right? But he decided to choose one who wasn't and got locked in with one who wasn't. And it had a major effect on him. But not only had a major effect on him, but Iceberg Slim. So that was the key initiating factor that made him want to be a pimp. And he didn't even know it until later in his life, when he was going back and replaying his life, right? That was the key factor, is the hurt. He was unwilling to deal with the hurt. So all this ism talk and all this so-and-so, you want to be a pimp and you need to treat your woman like hoes and you need to control them and do all of that. No, that's a weak man. That's a man who has not gone back and deal with the fact that he was hurt by a woman that was hurt by a woman, and you don't want to deal with that fact. So you treat them and you bundle them all together. And you're like, let me treat every single woman like this because one woman hurt me, right? So anyway, let's go back to it. So Iceberg, at the end of his life, I don't know if he's still alive. I think he is, but he's currently married with children, happily married with a virtuous woman. But you know what he had to do in order to get to that place? Was deal with the shit that his mom put him through. But he didn't deal with that shit until he was in his 40s and 50s. So a lot of you dudes are walking around here not dealing with the trauma that may have came with a heartbreak. Maybe a girl cheated on you. Maybe a girl just dipset on you because she wanted to be for the streets. Again, it's about being an alpha is about taking accountability. It ain't about anything else. Be accountable for your actions. You fell in love with a woman who wasn't virtuous. And were you in a space of being virtuous yourself? You know what I mean? Were you treating and doing the right things? Was you still hopping down on other women? Was you know what I mean? Was you still doing what you were supposed to do as a man? You know, so take accountability for your actions, because one, you chose her. And everybody knows you cannot turn a hoe, or AKA a Jezebel, into a housewife. You just can't do it. If she wants to be for the streets, she will be for the streets. And there are 10 to 15% of the women in America are virtuous, right? Just like it's probably only 10 to 15% of the men in the world that are virtuous, and especially in America. In the Western world, it's probably only 10 to 15%. So if you find yourself among those 10 to 15% where you know you're a good guy who can do your part in the divine masculine and be a provider and be a creator, and then, you know, love and care for your family the right way, then God will bless you with a virtuous woman who is going to do all those things, a nurturer, a lover, a carer, you know what I mean? And who can add to you and bring value to your business and bring value to your life in general, and make you feel better about your life as a whole. But what it comes down to is that whole pimp shit is weak-minded. And anytime you feel that you need to control and push away love and control and degrade and manipulate a woman in order to keep her around, that's coming from a place of fear. You're coming from a place of fear and lack. Anytime you try to control something, it's because you fear the loss of it, right? Anytime you try to control something. So instead of leading from a place of love and leading from a place of knowing you the shit, you're leading from a place of fear, right? That's why that pimp shit is trash. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you've been hurt by a woman, that's it. If you are finding yourself aligning to the pimp mentality, you have a deeper issue, which is you've been hurt by a woman that you have not allowed yourself to heal from. And you have allowed that instance, maybe it was multiple women, but you have allowed that instance or instances to change your perspective or outlook on life or towards women. But it's just like this. The things that you focus on are the things that you will attract. So if you're constantly focusing on these bitches ain't shit, all they do is cheat, all they do is do that, all they do is lie, then guess what you're going to get? You're going to get a world full of bitches who all they do is want to cheat, all they do is want to lie. You're going to attract a whole bunch of hoes, basically, a whole bunch of Jezebels, right? But if you're constantly thinking and knowing that you're deserving of one of those virtuous women, and you're thinking about that, God will bring that into your life. So it's really just that simple. Iceberg Slim, one of the biggest and most revered pimps in the world, one of the coldest dudes to ever do it at manipulating, degrading, and making a woman stay around and making decent money. But you know what I mean? Wasn't like he was a crazy multi-millionaire. Pimps don't even make a lot of money, man. They don't even make a lot of money because they get caught up at sometimes. Some of them end up doing. But what's the cap on that? You can't become a multi-millionaire being a pimp. You can't become a billionaire being a pimp. I mean, unless you maybe can on OnlyFans. If you got a few girls, you know what I'm saying? If you got a few, I don't know, on OnlyFans, you might be able to do it. But because there's a few of them making $1 million. So if you got your roster of like 20 to 30 girls that you managing or something, yeah. Anyway, but that's a whole nother story. And they all popping, like, you know, like top in the game, making, you know, millions a year. Then yeah, maybe. But that's a whole nother story. But man, it really is the alpha man. The real alpha man has a connection and has a balance between his feminine brain and his masculine brain. The right side and the left side are balanced. Because whenever that point was where you got your heart broken, whether it was with your mother, maybe it was your grandma, maybe it was your first love, maybe it was your most recent ex, whatever happened, you were living in your feminine brain once it happened, because you were hurt. You were hurt, and you were thinking about missing her, and why would she do this to me? What the fuck is this about? Am I not worthy enough? Am I not good enough for, you know what I mean? You were thinking all of these thoughts, when all along that wasn't the case. It was just a lot of the times you played yourself. You got with a woman who you probably knew at the time was a Jezebel, or, you know, I don't want to say hoe, but just was a woman who wanted to be for the streets. She wanted to be for the streets. She enjoyed being out in the streets, having multiple options. She didn't really fully love herself enough, so the external validation is what she fiends for. She fiends for the external validation. That's why, like I said, 85 to 90% of the women in the U.S. if you looking for real love, stay away from them. Because if you got a woman who is on Instagram all day, every day, posting pictures of herself, every other day posting a picture on her feed, you know, thirst trapping, you might want to stay away from that, because that is not a virtuous woman. She's looking for external validation on an often basis. She wants the streets to acknowledge her. She wants all these other people to acknowledge her. And I'll agree with that. Like even Aisha Curry right now, like she wildin'. But this is something that Steph Curry got to deal with. He didn't make sure he was dealing and aligning himself with a virtuous woman before he wifed that up, because she clearly wants to be for the streets. And that's nobody's fault but Steph Curry's. But to say he needs to now dip out of that, say fuck love and only be a pimp, that is the weak response. When you shut down your heart basically and push away love because you've been hurt before, that's the weak response. Let's just be honest. The courageous response is to heal from whatever it was, adjust, change the things that you're attracting. If you're attracting hoes, that has something to say about you. You know what I mean? There's a reason why you're attracting hoes and falling in love with hoes. That ain't the hoe fault. It ain't her fault. It's not her fault that you're lusting after and chasing after a hoe and trying to wife up a hoe. That's not her fault. That's something internal. Why are you trying to do that? Why are you trying to wife up a hoe? You know what I mean? Don't drop every woman into that basket, because there are virtuous women. But if you think in your mind all day, every day, all these women are hoes, I can't trust them, all these women are cheating, just because there's women in relationships and marriages who be in the DM, my DM personally, talking about, hey, let's link, I want to do this, or I miss you, or you still got that thing for me. It be like that. Like girls I used to fuck with will come back around the way and be like, hey, you still got, ain't you married? Hey, you still got that thing, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, yo, ain't you married though? You know what I mean? So I could see that, but you got to think about it like this. The things that you focus on are the things you attract. So if you thinking every girl out there is a hoe and you need to guard yourself, guess what? All you're going to attract is hoes. So you're going to keep creating that same situation you don't want to happen. But if you tapped in with God and you have did the healing that you needed to do from whatever situation caused you to start thinking that way, or start being a magnet, or like gravitating to that information, or the type of information where these quote unquote alpha male pages, it's like, come on bro, like you're teaching niggas to degrade, manipulate, and control women. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, that's, you know what I mean? Anytime that's coming from a lack, that's coming from a place of fear. You don't feel like you're good enough as you are, just being yourself, to attract a good woman. So you need to put up all these safeguards. Oh yeah, you need to always be in her mind. Fuck up. You gotta be in her mind, man. You gotta, come on now, bro. Come on. Yeah, you should always be in her mind, but not because you are trying to manipulate every single action she does. Because guess what? Whenever you try to control a woman, a virtuous woman, first of all, ain't gonna go for it. Just like an honest man cannot be tricked. An honest man, a man tapped in with God and who really knows what his worth is, can never be tricked by a hoe. Right? There's a saying, the old saying goes, you can never cheat an honest man. You can't cheat an honest man, because he's going to see from a mile away what the real is. And just like Iceberg Slim said in his very book, you cannot turn out a virtuous woman. He said he don't waste his time on square bitches because they're virtuous. They see that shit from a mile away. That pimp shit is not going to work on them. They see it coming from a mile away. That's in the book. This is the guy that they say they look up to, Iceberg Slim, saying all of this stuff in the book. But if you guys are not willing to do the research and read the books of these pimps, all of them were damaged by women, and most of them were damaged by the matriarchs in their life. Whether their mother wasn't shit, whether they just grew up around their mother, maybe their mother was a hoe, so now they thinking, okay, all women is hoes, I'm a pimp. Because if the biggest woman, or the biggest, the most influential woman in your life ain't shit, then you're going to think all women ain't shit, right? And that's the biggest problem. You're going to think all women ain't shit, and until you deal with the fact that, okay, you got to have compassion for the person that hurt you, because guess what? They was going through something too. There's a reason why they did whatever they did to cause you to feel afflicted and negative towards all women, and think all women ain't shit and all women is hoes, and I need to always have my guard up, and I need to always be on point and try to manipulate and play the game. And man, yes, if you're dealing with hoes, you may want to maneuver like a pimp, but why would you even want to entertain with hoes if you're really looking for real? And I don't even say love, but just you looking for something real. You're looking for a real connection with a real woman. Then why would you even deal with hoes? Why would you even be a part of the game at all, right? Why would you even play in the game, right? Like I said, man, if you one of them 10 to 15% of men who know they're deserving of a good woman and a virtuous woman, then play it. You know what I'm saying? Understand that it's going to come to you. Start thinking about that virtuous woman instead of thinking only about the hoes. Because whatever you think of, whatever you focus on, whatever you give energy to, that's what is going to manifest in your life, right? That is what's going to manifest in your life. So if you're constantly thinking every woman is a hoe, guess what? Every woman you come across and deal with is going to be a hoe. You're gonna get tricked. You're gonna continuously get tricked. Even Iceberg Slim was getting played by his hoes after a while, because the manipulation only turns the woman resentful towards you. It works for a little while. Go read the book. Go read the book. It's Iceberg Slim's book. I can't remember the name of it right now, but when I get it, I'll put it on my Instagram. I'll drop the link down in the bio, actually, from the Amazon cart, so y'all can go copy. But read the book. He literally tells you this is one of the biggest, baddest pimps, probably the most revered in the world to ever walk. And he's telling you, look, I was damaged. That was the reason why I was being a pimp. It was because of my mom. That nigga would have night sweats and shit and wake up out of the middle of the night dreaming about his mom as a monster and shit like that, because she had that effect on him for breaking up a happy home. He loved that dude as his father. He ended up dying, so he dealt with that pain and blamed his mom for the fact that man died, basically killed himself. And he blamed his mom for that. And then that internalized and made it into something completely different. Man, let me just give it to you like this. When you're secure of yourself, you know what you bring to the table, you know what you're worthy of, and you are a virtuous man deserving of a virtuous woman, God will deliver it to you. But you can't be focusing on the shit that you don't want. Focus on the shit that you do want. So if you're constantly focusing on these hoes, guess what? You're going to get hoes, because that's what's going to what you're thinking, that's what's going to manifest. So if you want a good woman, focus on a good women, because they out there. Like I said, 10 to 15% in America, and honestly, it ain't enough good niggas for them good women right now. So there's a lot of them out there for you. Just focus on them. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of them out there for you, because niggas ain't shit too. Just like them hoes ain't shit. There's a lot of niggas out here cheating and doing crazy shit to their women. So beating their women and, you know what I'm saying, doing all of that. So it's just about making sure you heal from whatever trauma led you to that place where you feel like you need to be a pimp. Fuck this, I'm a pimp now. Or fuck this, I'm going back to my shit. I'm going back to fucking with hella bitches. I mean, if you feel like that's what you were supposed to be doing all along, then you probably shouldn't have been in a relationship. But if you know that you want something real, a real connection, and just fucking off and giving away your seed to multiple women and doing all of that is a waste, like I know, that's just a waste. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of energy. It's a waste of your seed, like your vital life force, to be fucking all these different bitches. But yeah, if you know like I know, then you're going to receive a virtuous woman. So just do the healing that needs to happen, so you can open your heart back up to love, and then you can start asking God to deliver you a virtuous woman, and just focus on that, right? Because being a pimp, quote unquote, don't lead to shit, man. My dad was a pimp. That nigga in and out of jail. What has that gotten him? And like, being a pimp, what has that gotten him? And as far as from the love field, what has it gotten him? You get to experience these women from time to time, right? And I definitely, half of what they say is just focus on your purpose. That is real. You should be focused on your purpose. You should be focused on your purpose and grinding and building until you meet that virtuous woman. And you know what I mean? Wasting your time out of because you get lonely. Again, that's fear. If you get lonely, so you hit up a woman, that's coming from a place of lack, and that's coming from a place of fear. So if you getting lonely and you hitting up a woman that, you know, come through just so you can fuck, that's coming from a place of lack and fear. It's as simple as that. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna come to you, bro. You gotta understand all of that shit. Be careful what you entertain, man. That what you entertain is what you will manifest. Be careful what you entertain. A lot of these older men out here giving you these quotes, be a pimp, and some of these younger dudes talking about the ism and you should be a pimp and do all. No, man, you should not be no pimp. Yes, you should know how hoes work, but only if you want to deal with hoes. That's only if you want to deal with hoes. You should know how they work. If that's what you want to do, you should know how to pimp them if you want to deal with hoes. If you don't want to deal with hoes, then don't. Like I said, Iceberg Slim even said it. There are virtuous women out there, he won't even talk to them. He can see them, he wouldn't even talk to them. He would talk to them and they would be like, no, I'm not fucking with you. Treat him like a piece of shit, and he would cuss him out. You know what I mean? He would feel some type of way. But yeah, he was like, yeah, he don't fuck with square bitches. Because guess what? They know their value. They not finna be out here hoeing around. They don't feel a lack. Like, a lot of these women are hurt. From whatever happened in their childhood, they didn't get enough attention. They didn't feel loved. So they sitting out here seeking this external validation from anywhere. Anybody who can give it to me, because they didn't get it from their dad. They didn't get it from whoever. You know what I mean? Or they didn't get it from anybody. So now anybody that gives them attention, makes them feel good, that's a turn on to them. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that it's right, but that's what it is. So it's about having that compassion too. And understanding, yeah, you can't turn a hoe into a housewife, but a hoe can become a virtuous woman. You know what I mean? She can make the changes that she needs to make to become a virtuous woman. And then you can turn a virtuous woman into a housewife. But if she's a hoe when you meet her and you try to turn her into a housewife, fam, it's not going to work. She's when you met her, she was looking for external validation. You cannot heal that. She has to heal that herself. Just like a woman can't heal your traumas, you have to heal that yourself. You cannot heal a woman. You can't. She has to do it herself. She has to want to do it herself. All right? Same with a man. A woman can't heal a man. He has to want to do it himself. Because we deal with our own childhood traumas that affect us and make us act in different ways that we act. You know what I mean? So yeah, be careful of what you entertain, man, and understand that a real virtuous woman is out there for you, right? And be careful of what you entertain, bro. It'll shape your life. And then you're gonna keep creating the same situations that you was trying to avoid. So you acting like a pimp. Guess what pimps get? They get hoes. You was just trying to get away from hoes. You just dealt with a hoe that broke your heart. So why are you trying to dive in deeper and deal with more hoes? I don't know. It's just a mind fuck to me, honestly. It really is. And but yeah, I'm not judging none of these people, because judging none of the other channels that's pushing that false sense of alphahood. Like, you're not an alpha male just because you're on your purpose. Alpha male embraces love without fear. Y'all, a lot of those dudes was clearly hurt by a woman. A woman cheated on them, or left them down and bad, or left them when they were down and bad or something, and then they allowed that to shape the way that they viewed all women. But you got to understand, not every woman is solid. So if you focusing on the women who ain't solid, you're gonna manifest more of that. You're gonna continue to bring that into your field. You don't want it, don't think about it. Don't engage with it. Don't even engage the thoughts. You know what I'm saying? And that's all I got for y'all today, man. That's all I got for y'all today. But be careful. Being alpha is not being a pimp. Those two things do not equate. Do not take the ism, because I've seen what it's done to our community, and I'm talking to specifically brown people. Most people say black, I say copper, brown, but I'm talking specifically to my copper people. I've seen what it's done to our community, what it's done when we had a whole bunch of virtuous women and we had a whole bunch of virtuous men. We were prosperous, abundant, you know what I mean? Things were good. We were in much better shape as a community. We were accomplishing a lot more just before the crack era, the 60s and 70s, or 80s really, but just before, all the drugs started to hit the scene in the 60s and 70s, because my grandma was partying back then. She told me them stories. That shit really had an effect on the black community, the drugs. And then women, instead of dealing with their problems, they was coping and partying. Instead of dealing with their problems and shit, they started coping and partying. And so they kept coping with drugs. You know what I mean? And that led to a lot of the women that we're dealing with now. So we all got to heal, man. And so, yeah, you focusing on hoes, that's all you're going to get. Them hoes, don't fuck with them, because they got to heal before you can even do anything with them, before anybody can wipe them up. Because they're going to always be for the streets. They're going to always be seeking external validation, because they don't believe that they beautiful on the inside. They don't believe that they worthy on the inside. So anybody who comes to them like, hey, you fine, hey, and anybody who talk to them disrespectful, make them feel little, make them belittle, you can't do that shit with a virtuous woman. You cannot go to a virtuous woman. I used to do this shit in college a lot, is do that reverse psychology, and it would work. But on some women, that shit backfired like a motherfucker. On them virtuous women that was good girls and shit, that shit would backfire. When you hit them with the reverse psychology, tell them they not tell them they ugly, but you know how it is. You give them like one little negative thing, like, damn, baby, why your forehead so big? And just laugh it off. And you say something like that, but it's a negative thing, but you kind of try to say it in a positive light. And for a woman who's a little insecure about herself, which is a lot of these Jezebels, they definitely insecure. You say that and it intrigues them, like, oh, he don't like me. I need him. He don't want me. I need to make him want me. Because they grew up with most of the times, it's because they grew up without their dad in their life, or their dad was in their life and never showed them any love, or their dad was a deadbeat, whatever it was. And so they always looking to make something that doesn't want them. And they don't even know on an internal level that's what it is. And so a lot of these women are just like that. The niggas who don't want them and treat them like shit, that's who the ones they be after. And that's all it is about healing. You know what I mean? They don't feel like they're deserving of real love and good love. So they're not even open to it. They want to, because they don't even realize it's a psychological thing, that because their dad wasn't there and they always wanted their dad to be a positive impact, or have a positive impact in their life and be a positive figure in their life, that it's having an effect on how they view men in general. So they always wanted to make their dad be there and they couldn't. So anytime a male figure comes into their life, they get with him, the dude who doesn't really want them and treats them like shit and doesn't call them and doesn't text them, and you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? And then they end up calling him daddy. You get it? It's just a mind fuck. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of these women just hurt. So it comes with that compassion. So once you have that compassion for a hoe, you know what I'm saying? You understand, okay, I understand she's dealing with hurt and pain, but you don't got to deal with her. You shouldn't. You shouldn't deal with any woman who hasn't healed from her past traumas. Because anybody who is dealing currently with past trauma should not be in a relationship, and that's for yourself. You right now, if you thinking of women, of all women as hoes, you got some past trauma you haven't dealt with. You know what I mean? So you shouldn't even be looking for a relationship. You should be trying to heal yourself from whatever pain that woman caused you, whether it was your mom, your grandma, the woman who raised you, or whether it was an ex, or a woman, or maybe a woman you currently still dealing with. Right. So you still got some trauma that you haven't dealt with, because you clearly don't feel like you're worthy of a good woman. Um, if all you focusing on is hoes, and if you generalize all women as hoes, guarantee you're only gonna get hoes. And I'm not saying that in a positive way, like, you know how they be like, oh, that boy got hoes. I'm not saying it like that. You're only going to attract hoes. And if your goal is to have something real with one woman and build an empire with a woman, or hell, if you want to be polygamous, same thing. Same thing. If you thinking all women is hoes, shit, same thing gonna happen to your polygamous relationship. You only gonna attract hoes. So shit gonna fold up. You can try to control her as much as you want to, but guess what? You can't turn a hoe into a housewife. So if she want to be for the streets, she will ultimately be for the streets. And all the game you run on her, you could be the coldest pimp in the world. Iceberg was the coldest pimp in the world and could only keep a girl for 5 years. That was like the longest. He had one, like his down chick. I think maybe like 7 years was the longest. I gotta read that book again because it's good. It's a good bit, but it teaches you. The reason why I read it, because Dave Chappelle recommended it, and it teaches you a lot about how the government works and how the government, it teaches you some of the coldest capitalist, business moves you could do. If you look at the book as like a business book, then you can learn a lot from it. Also from like a traumatic healing book, you could learn a lot from it too. Because Iceberg dropped some gems in there as far as what he went through and how it affected him, and how he was ultimately able to heal from it, and how he ended up with a virtuous woman and built a family and has his kids, and you know what I mean? He realized that it was what was affecting him. So man, y'all gotta make sure you're careful of what you're watching and entertaining. Don't let your pain block your blessings. Heal from that shit. There are virtuous women out there that you are worthy of. You know what I'm saying? And that are worthy of you. If you can heal past that bullshit and stop thinking all women are the same. Do you think you know what I'm saying? Do you think all niggas the same? Do you think you just like every other nigga out here? You know what I'm saying? Do you feel like, you clearly, if you're thinking that you deserve a virtuous woman, then you must be a virtuous man. You know what I'm saying? Clearly, you must be. Anyway, man, that's it. You know what I'm saying? So if you feel like you are virtuous and you could give a woman everything she needs and be there and be loyal and or even whatever y'all set up, whether you set up y'all want to have an open relationship or whatever, you can be honest and truthful and be a good provider and do the things that a man is supposed to do, then why is it that you think you can't get the opposite? You think you're not worthy of the opposite, and you're constantly focusing on the negative aspects of it, of women, because that's all you're gonna get. All right, this getting redundant now, man. It's your boy Roche, Nature Boy, man. I'm not just saying, but to be real alpha is to balance, and to always lead with courage, even in times of fear. If you're feeling like all women ain't shit, that you're clearly in a place of fear when it comes to love. Like you're scared to open to it, right? You've been hurt before, so. To be alpha is to be courageous and to be brave in the times where you're fearful. You've been hurt before, so opening back up is going to be hard for you. It's fearful, or fear. There may be some fear attached to it. But in order to be alpha, real alpha men were the first ones who led in battle, or maybe were the, you know what I mean? Yeah, we might die today, but I'm about to go out here and put it all on the line. That's the type of shit. That's courage. That's real alpha. You know what I mean? Where you just step up to the plate no matter what the fear is like, because you know at the end of the day what it is that you're going for is worthy of it. So if you know that you're worthy of a virtuous woman, deal with the pain. Next time you get an opportunity where you know this woman is not a hoe, or you have a feeling, an inclination, your intuition's telling you that this woman ain't a hoe, then just jump out on, get rid of that fear. Jump out on, use your courage. You know what I'm saying? Be brave, be courageous, and step out there and do it again. You know what I mean? You can't let your hurt shape you. And a lot of these dudes on YouTube is leading a lot of you young dudes the wrong way. You letting the hurt that you dealt with from a past relationship shape you, and that ain't right. And change the way that you view your life and what it is that you think you deserve. So now you thinking it's not an option to have a good woman and a virtuous woman. So you only focused on hoes, and you're gonna continue to manifest that. They're gonna continue to, every woman you deal with gonna turn out to be a hoe, because that's what you think every woman is. So you're only gonna attract those that everything that you think of is what you attract. So if you focusing on your energy on every woman being a hoe, that's all you're gonna get. Anyway, that's my message for today, man. It's your boy Roche. Ain't your boy out this thing, man. Y'all get out, man. Get y'all some sun. Get your workout in. I'm about to hit the gym, do some lifting. Probably hoop first. But yeah, man. Step into that true alphahood. Balance that feminine and that masculine brain. Heal from that trauma, whatever it was, and then be open again to finding the love that you know you deserve. Because when you closed off, God can't deliver what you're asking for. When you tapped in with God, He can deliver what you're asking for. Like, if you closed off to it, you asking for a virtuous woman, but you always thinking about hoes, He can't deliver that to you because you closed off to opening up to love. Simple as that, man. All right, I'm out. Y'all be blessed.